For countless years, marijuana has been among the most harvested agricultural crops. It has been smoked for thousands of years, and nothing's really changed. As 2017, there are 9 states in America that have legalized recreational and medicinal marijuana, and other states have legalized just medicinal, and more states are soon to follow. Because of this, debates over this topic seem to be constant. The recreational medicinal use of marijuana should be legalized throughout the nation because it will reduce crime and is wise for our country's financial state. Marijuana should be legalized nationwide, and the American public agrees. According to an article from CBS News titled, "Marijuana Legalization Supports at All Times High," as of 2017, 61% of all Americans agree that marijuana should be legalized, opposed to 40% in 2011. The support for full legalization is spreading like wildfire as more and more people realize the benefits of this booming industry. According to Alan Pike's 2017 article from Think Progress, Denver saw a 2.2% drop in violent crime rates in the first year after the first recreational cannabis sales in Colorado. In Washington, violent crime rates dropped by 10% from 2011 to 2014. As time goes on and more states legalize marijuana, the crime rates will continue to drop. A 2014 article titled "Legalizing Medical Marijuana May Actually Reduce Crime," studies say, shows that Robert Morris, an associate professor of criminology at UT Dallas, researched the effects on Part 1 crimes, which include homicide, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, larceny, and auto theft. And his study conclusion was that they accounted for factors such as poverty, employment, education, and even per capita beer sales. Among other things, we found that no evidence of increase in any of these crimes for states after legalizing marijuana for medical use. The same article claims that THC, the active ingredient in pot, actually causes a decrease in aggressive and violent behaviors. Marijuana has even been directly linked to the decrease of overdoses from opiates. Colleen Berry, a journalist at the New York Times, stated that by using state-level death certificate data from 1999 to 2010, her colleagues and her found that the annual rate of opiate overdose death decreased substantially by 25% on average, following the passage of medical marijuana laws, compared to states that still had the bans. The positives of legalizing marijuana cannot be ignored. If America does not take action to legalize this drug, then we may be missing out on a whole new business industry as well. Tyler Kozlow, a journalist for Mary Jane, claims nationwide legalization of marijuana could generate up to $28 billion in tax revenues for federal, state, and local governments. Our country is in serious debt, and allowing this industry to kindle will bring our country more jobs and higher tax revenues. If our country does not take advantage of the benefits of the marijuana industry has to offer, then we may be letting the drug cartels continue to reap the profits. In Desiree Hoover's article titled "4 Reasons Why Legalizing Marijuana Could Be the Solutions to America's Problems," she explains that American cannabis growers have become known for inventing new hybrid strains. This makes American marijuana unique, which could help destroy the illegal drug trade. In 2012, a study by the Mexican Competitiveness Institute found that legalization would take market profits away from the cartel business. The cartel have caused enough problems in our nation, and it is time to push them out for our country's profits. My plan of action is to get all anti-marijuana activists to love marijuana. The way to accomplish this would be to put very strict regulations on weed so that weed is kept out of the hands of the irresponsible citizens and underage citizens. With the billions of dollars that the United States would be making just from this industry alone, we could use a % of that money made for the regulations in our country. According to Alan Freeman's article from the Washington Post, the Canadian government has introduced sweeping legislation designed to permit the recreational use of marijuana throughout the country by July of 2018. The federal government plans to impose penalties up to 14 years in prison if you are caught for giving it to a minor. American needs to take note needs to take note of Canada's decision and harsh regulations that they plan to implement along with the many other countries that have already taken their steps for the future. The other way to get all anti-marijuana activists on board with the legalization is to do our part. If legalization is on your state's ballot this year, go out and vote. If your state is nowhere near legalization, then vote for pro-legalization candidates. Steps can be made when you keep an open mind and educate yourself on marijuana and the cannabis industry. Now I'll tell you why that's the best way to make these changes happen. By putting very strict regulations and punishments on marijuana, it makes it much more unlikely that people will break the rules and regulations in fear of receiving a harsh punishment. Also with these regulations, it will help to ensure that no one is misusing marijuana. It also helps to make the chances very low that underage civilians would be smoking pot. By each and every one of us doing our part to legalize the legitimate medicine, it may change the hearts and minds of the 33% that are against the legalization. If we continue to push for and do our duty for the legalization of marijuana, I have no doubt in my mind that one day marijuana will be legalized throughout our nation. America is still in the early stages of nationwide development, so no one really knows for sure what will happen. But if we look at the states that have legalized it, we can see that crime has actually decreased and that the industry is booming by creating jobs and wealth in America. Because of this, I believe marijuana should be legalized throughout the United States. By not legalizing weed in America, we are missing out on an annual multi-billion-dollar business opportunity. The good to come from legalization outweighs the bad, and by placing stern regulations and punishments, and by taking our part in the push for legalization, we can have a safe and thriving new industry in the United States.